Okay, everybody, so I told you I was going to talk about the benefits of meditation, but I also promised that I was going to show you where we were outside here. So right now we're in the Rocky Mountains. We're at about 8,000 feet. That is a reservoir down there, and the place is beautiful. We're in a town called Sapineiro. That's my motorhome behind us. That's where we've been living full time for about 6 years. So let me take you for a little walk around here and show you the area. By the way, I promised I was going to tell you about the benefits of meditation, and I will do a show on that, but today I'm just going to walk outside and riff. And spoiler alert, the benefits of meditation range from feeling really, really great to being really, really bored. Howdy. Got one of my neighbors up there. Oh, okay, so that's my dog Blanca. And this is some of our neighbors. I don't know how steady I'm holding the camera, but nope, leave it. Howdy, how y'all doing?
We're well, how are you?
Not bad. So anyway, it's a beautiful day, and my wife and I are going to drive over to Montrose and check it out. So Montrose is a little town. It's about 40 minutes away from here, and it has about 18,000 people and has a couple museums. So, and I'm a museum freak, so hopefully we'll get to see some museums. Now, we're taking I-50 to get there, and I-50 is like a mountain road, and they're doing a lot of work on it, so it gets closed in certain directions, but my understanding is that on Sunday they're going to leave it open. So we'll see. It is, as my wife says, it's an adventure, so we'll see what happens. So anyway, this is again the view from around here. Just gorgeous, terrific sunsets over that mountain there behind me. So maybe I'll take a video and take a look at the mountain. So anyway, while I'm outdoors, I don't have my monitor, so I can't put up any notes, and so I've been watching the videos. The lectures can get a little dry, but hey, it is what it is. So while I don't have notes, I am going to tell a story that was told to me while I was in India. And the story is about the greatest thief in all of India. So, once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a man in India who was renowned as the greatest thief in all of India. And he was getting to the end of his life, and he was dying, and he was on his deathbed, and he talked to his son. And he told his son, look, I am renowned as the greatest thief in all of India. But I've taught you everything that I know. And in fact, you are the greatest thief. So this is what he's telling his son. And he tells his son, you know, everybody says I'm the greatest thief, but in fact, I've trained you well, and you, in fact, are the greatest thief in all of India. And I'm dying, and that's okay, you know, circle of life and all of that. But I have 2 words of advice. 1, never, ever admit your guilt. No matter how badly you're caught, don't admit your guilt. And 2, don't listen to anybody who's talking about spiritual stuff, because that will ruin your career as a thief. And so, after giving his son these 2 pieces of advice, to never ever admit your guilt, no matter how badly you get caught, don't admit it. You know, if you get your, you know, if they catch you with your hand in the money till, just claim that you were just cleaning it or something. So, and the other advice, never ever listen to somebody who's talking about spiritual stuff, because that'll ruin your career. You know, you can't be a good thief and listen to people talking about spiritual stuff. So anyway, the man passes, and the son, you know, he's moving on, and he's walking down the road and thinking about life and everything. And as he's walking down the road, he sees that there's some kind of big festival going on. And there's, you know, flags, and there's music and all sorts of stuff. And so he thinks, well, this will be a good opportunity to practice pickpocketing, because whenever there's a good crowd, then you can practice pickpocketing. And you know, he liked to be proficient in all the different types of thieving, since he was, you know, supposedly the greatest thief in all of India. So he comes up on this festival, and he goes, so he just sort of mingles with the crowd, and you know, he's practicing his pickpocketing. Anyway, somebody is up on the stage, and they're talking, and he only hears one line from the speaker, and that line is that spiritual beings cast no shadows. And then he realizes this must be some kind of spiritual talk. And he looks up on the stage, and it turns out it's the Buddha. The Buddha is up there talking. And he only heard that one line, that spiritual beings cast no shadows. That's all he heard, but he ran away because he remembered his father's advice not to listen to people who talk about spiritual stuff. So he keeps going along, and after a while he comes to this big palace, and he goes, oh, well, this will be an opportunity to practice burglary. And so he sneaks into the palace, and, you know, sneaks past all the guards and everything, and eventually comes to to a place where there's a lot of treasure, and there's a whole bunch of jewels, and so he grabs the jewels, but he was a little shaken up by the fact that he hadn't followed his father's advice. You know, that he had listened to, well, I mean, only one sentence, but he had listened to somebody talking about spiritual stuff. So he was a little bit off of his game, and he made a little bit of noise, and the guard heard him, and the guard burst into the room, and he was there with all the jewels, but he grabbed the jewels and he jumped out of the window and swung on the awning, because, you know, these are skills that you need when you're the greatest thief in all of India. And he swung on the awning and he jumped to the parapet, and he did all this parkour stuff, and he ended up getting away. But the guard had seen him, and a whole bunch of guards started chasing him, came out of the palace and started chasing him. And so he ran and he ran, and he's carrying this bag of jewels that he had stolen from the palace. And he ran and he ran, and he ran into a forest, and he got a little bit ahead of the guards, but he realized that he was going to get caught. And so he stopped and he dug a little hole, and he buried the jewels in this hole in the ground underneath like a banyan tree. Anyway, the guards caught up with him, and he remembered his father's advice. You know, you never admit that you're guilty. And so he kept saying, I didn't steal anything. I don't know what you're talking about. But the guards grabbed him and dragged him back to the palace. And in the palace was the queen, who was a little bit upset about losing all her jewels. And so she questioned him and said, look, we know you're a thief. I want my jewels back. Give me the jewels back, and I'll let you go. And he remembered his father's advice, and he goes, no, I never stole anything. I've never stolen anything in my life, and I didn't do it, and I'm innocent. And I was in the forest, and a man who looked a lot like me came running by, and he was carrying a bag of something, and he went running by, and I was just standing there, and then your guards came, and they grabbed me, and I didn't do anything wrong. And he kept saying this over and over. And so the queen didn't know, but she wanted her jewels back. So she said, well, throw him in the dungeon. And so he was thrown in the dungeon. And then, after being thrown in the dungeon, the queen laced his food with opium. So they gave him some food to eat, but it had opium in it. And so he was all stoned out on the opium. And then the queen took what was left of her jewels and put them all on and dressed up real fancy and put on a lot of makeup and wore a big crown and got all dressed up and went down to the dungeon where the prisoner was waiting and had and he was stoned out on the opium. So the queen went in, and she was carrying a candle, And she came in and she put on this like loud voice and said, "I am the goddess Lakshmi. I am the goddess of thieves. And you've done so well. And you stole all those jewels, and I'm so proud of you. So you did a good job, and now I'm going to save you from this dungeon." And so the thief is about, he's all stoned on the opium, and seeing the queen all dressed up fancy with makeup and jewels and fancy clothes and dressed up like the goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of thieves. And he's about to blurt out, "Oh, goddess Lakshmi, thank God you're here, and help me get out of this prison. And I'm a great thief, and I've always been good at thievery." And he's about to say that, and then he notices that from the flickering candlelight that the queen is holding, that it's producing a slight shadow on the wall of the dungeon. And he remembers the words of the Buddha, who said that celestial beings cast no shadows. And then he remembers that, and then he realizes this is not Lakshmi, the goddess of thieves. This is somebody like trying to trick me. And so he says, "Oh, great goddess Lakshmi, you're a great goddess, and you know everything, and you know that I've never stolen anything in my life. And so I don't know why I'm here, but you know that I've never stolen anything." And so he sticks to his story. So then the queen leaves, and he's still in the dungeon. But the next morning, she figures, well, he's not really a thief, and so she lets him go. And the story goes that he realizes that one sentence from the Buddha saved his life. And so he goes and joins the Buddha. And somewhere in India, underneath a banyan tree, is hidden a giant pile of jewels. But even more priceless is the knowledge and the wisdom of the Buddha. So anyway, that's the story. I was told that while I was in India at an ashram, and it's a good story, and I've remembered it. That was a long time ago. I think I was a teenager at the time. So, but a good story, and I've always remembered it. And anyway, that's it for now. And like I said, I'm still going to do the talk about the benefits of meditation, and we'll get to that. And before I go, let's just take one more look at the beautiful scenery here. We're in the Rocky Mountains. We're at about 8,000 feet. It's just a beautiful place we're staying at. This is, I think it's called Shapiro Camping Village, something like that. And it's an RV park, and they have cabins here. And it's a little on the rustic side, but that's very cool. We have full hookups for our motorhome, and that's pretty much all we need. And it's just so beautiful here. So that's my dog. I don't know if she's in the picture right now. Blanca, come here. So she's a beautiful dog. She's a white German Shepherd. Her name is Blanca. She's 8 years old. And Just very happy to have her as a companion. Anyway, that's it. Guys, have a great day. And I'll still do another lecture on sort of a continuation of the series. Thank you. Bye-bye now.